Hello and welcome to the show. We've mentioned Lightware Visual Engineering in recent news bulletins, and ever since they produced the world's first DVI matrix switcher, they've been manufacturing high-quality video matrices and extenders for demanding mission-critical environments with a strong background in live events.
Yeah, so we thought it was about time to catch up with them to find out why matrix switches really are interesting. And we're delighted to welcome Felix Knight, who's the Technical Director in the UK and runs the UK office. Welcome to this show, Felix. Good to see you.
Hi, guys. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. So, Felix, for those who may not know Lightware, can you quickly bring us up to speed with a quick overview?
Sure. Lightware is a professional AV manufacturer based out of Budapest. And we've been making professional video equipment for the live events and branching into corporate and other spaces for about 13 years, 15 years. We do a lot of stuff based in, really reliable and good quality engineering. It's a very engineering-led company.
Cool, there's some history there. So in the recent news, we reported on how you've worked with Epic Games London Innovation Lab as it works towards specifying a standard design, if you like, for extended reality. Why do you think we're seeing so much XR?
I think there's two things. I think the pandemic and the lockdown and sort of the closure of some more traditional sort of studio spaces has prompted people to experiment a bit more and explore what's possible. I also feel it's just a natural evolution of what we were seeing before as well. You were seeing a lot of LED make its way into studio environments, and the LED just got better and better. The processors got better and better. And if you think about the alternative, which is really green screen technology, the ability for the people in the space to interact with what's being displayed or what the user might, viewer might see is a really big advance. And the sort of other side of that has been the sort of increasing capability of the real-time rendering, which is where the Epic and the Unreal part comes into it. That's also been really well developed. I guess the sort of one of the big showpiece examples would have to be the Mandalorian TV show and the behind the scenes package they put together on that. People have been doing this for a while now, but I feel like that particular piece really got a good exposure and got a lot of people thinking about, oh, well, maybe I'll do this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So tell us a little bit more, following on from that then, the role Lightware are playing in the XR environment.
Sure. I mean, it's kind of the role we play in every environment. It's really the sort of infrastructure for the digital video signals, these very high bandwidth signals, which, there's a lot of requirements in terms of making sure everything gets transmitted from A to B in the correct way. I mean, if you take standards like HDMI and DisplayPort, the standards are designed around, you've got a source device, you've got a sync device, and you connect them up with one cable. Now, the real world doesn't always fit into that little box, and that's where we provide the solutions to, expand from going one source to multiple destinations, extending the signals over the distance you can do on a standard copper cable or an HDMI or DisplayPort cable, and really just providing that infrastructure to be able to expand the system and, incorporate it into larger designs, larger studios, larger LED walls. It's these. If you're doing a small, very simple setup, you probably won't need a Lightware product. But once you start going into these larger spaces and these more complicated designs, that's where we provide that infrastructure and we sort of make everything work.
So you say in these larger spaces, and you're talking about the length of cable. I'm wondering, is latency ever an issue here?
Most certainly is. As our background has been in the live events arena from the very beginning, latency has always been a very key design principle for Lightware. It's important that our products don't add any latency into the system. Obviously, we talk about 0 frame delay. All electromagnetic signals traveling through mediums are going to have some degree of latency, but it's about keeping it as low as possible. I mean, we've seen a lot of marketing around devices claiming to be 0 latency, but there's real world limits. But the idea is that with our products, as we aren't doing any image processing or altering the signal, we're really just trying to get it from A to B and do reclocking and equalizing and clean it up so that it's as good as when it left the source device. But in terms of processing it or touching it, altering it, that's not anything we do.
So I guess latency is obviously key, but are there any other important video requirements that you've got to consider in an XR system?
Sure. I mean, the latency comes into one of the big ones, which is synchronization. If you're building a large LED wall and you've got multiple processors displaying images, in one wall, you might have multiple signals. Those signals need to be synchronized, especially in your XR environment, because you're going to see tearing, you're going to see artifacts at that join if the signals aren't in sync. And so with our products, if the signals are going in synchronized, because we're not altering or doing any processing on it, they come out synchronized. That's one of the key pieces there. The other side of it is the bit depth. If you're going to point a camera at an LED wall and you want it to look good, there's a certain amount of color and picture quality that you need to achieve. So going to higher bit depths, 10-bit, 12-bit, and also once you do that, you are also starting to think about using the expanded color space, the Rec 2020 color space. Essentially, some of the things that come out of the HDR standard that you see with HDMI 2.0 and DisplayPort 2.1, when those pieces are really important to kind of get the best quality or the quality that you need from the LED wall. So it does tie into the HDR standards as well.
And so I'm to say you're probably not doing this alone. You've got the partners with the LED walls doing, making it a reality. You're one part of this. What kind of other products are you working with? What else is going on in this environment?
Sure. I guess from the nature of our products, we've always been working with different brands, different manufacturers. I mean, we are the bits that join device A to device B. So there's always been, we've got a long history of collaboration with different manufacturers. We've got a history with Disguise. Disguise have always done a very good job at what they do, and we see our products used with them fairly regularly. On the LED side, I think Brompton are really the leading the way as far as I'm concerned in this space. They are producing a lot of features and capabilities that are directly tied into these environments. Solving problems that you only know about once you have the experience of actually trying to put these things together. I mean, these XR systems, on paper, they might seem a little bit more simple than they are in real life. There's a lot of challenges to actually get these things to work stably. Hence, the work we're doing with Epic, where it's they are tasked with advising people, how do we make these systems work, and it's definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
So if we hone in on maybe the MX2 platform, I mean, am I right in saying there's two versions of the MX2? You've got a standalone and then a user configurable one.
Yeah.
And so what sort of configurations can you have on that one?
Sure. I mean, in the standalone matrices, there is large. It's by and large the different variants are different mixes between HDMI 2.0 and DisplayPort 1.2 connectivity. So the modular matrix gives you the option to sort of completely customize that mix how you would like. You know, you can come in HDMI 2.0 and come out DisplayPort 1.2, for example. Beyond that, it's also integrated with our different extension technologies. So we've got fiber extenders that you can come in, come out on, and we're due to be releasing our copper Cat-X extenders. Beyond that, the MX2M is also designed with a lot of capabilities in mind for the future. So there's a completely separate audio crosspoint. You can take in Dante, in and out Dante audio. We are working on a KVM solution as well, so you'll be able to use it as a KVM switcher. And also, finally, a new thing for us will be to have some image processing capability. So we're thinking about an output board that has an image processor in it, which will allow you to do stuff like multi-viewers, seamless switching, scaling. Typically, we stayed away from those technologies because inherently they add the latency, the frame delay. But we also recognize it would be a good option to incorporate onto this new modular matrix. Another idea that we are exploring is the potential to incorporate AV over IP technology into this kind of traditional AV switcher, so you could have a sort of hybrid between the traditional AV world and AV over IP.
Yeah,
get the best of both worlds, hopefully.
And how I'm still wondering as well how you might monitor. I'm thinking you've got some tools in there that will help you analyze and monitor what's going on with all of these. I mean, it's complicated.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we've always done really well with our diagnostic tools and the information we provide back to the end user. Because as you say, it's particularly with XR, you may have a complicated signal chain, and you want to be able to verify that the signal is going through the parameters aren't changing as it goes through a certain device and back into the system. You want to be able to measure all of these things. Typically, we have our frame detector tool, which is kind of like you could think of it like a bit like an oscilloscope for a video signal. It's sort of measuring all of the signal timings. And beyond that, we always try to display all of the information available from the chipsets that we end up using. You know, we will pick a chipset because we like the capabilities. Those chips inherently have registers that, you know, have data on them, and we provide that data to the end user. So it's not like we're putting in specific hardware just to measure everything. A lot of the measurements are already there. We're just providing that and displaying it in our control protocol.
Yeah.
So just rounding up, Felix, how do you see the future for XR in maybe 5 years' time?
I know it's going to become a lot more widespread because due to the nature of TV and film, we can't talk too much about the projects that we're involved in. But what I can say is there's a lot of things being built now that aren't going away. And if anything, it's only going to be more widespread. I mean, yes, they are relatively expensive studios to build. But then when you factor in, the sort of overall cost of running them and producing content through them, it actually works out a lot cheaper because you're not having to do as much post-processing. I mean, you know, if you think about the amount of recoloring people do trying to take away the green from a green screen, even that alone is a massive cost saving. So I think it really is the future, and it's going to be more widely utilized.
Fascinating. So where can we send people to go and find out a bit more about your tools?
Sure. I mean, if you go to www.lightware.com, we have a training center on our website. So there's a lot of good sort of detailed training information. particularly if you want to learn about HDR or HDMI 2.0, DisplayPort 1.2, we've got some good material there that really, ties this all together, really.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Felix. Thanks for your time. Do check out all those solutions, and there's lots of them, as Felix says, at lightware.com. Thanks also to Mediaproxy for their support of KitPlus TV, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.